bag and I turn it upside down and I just let the money fall out. And, order. They're like, hey, it's drug money. The other side is just coming up with stuff. I'm like, listen, this is what I was trying to explain to you in the beginning. He says, I'm listening. You have my attention. I said, yesterday was the first Tuesday of the month. It was the tax sale. He's like, let me stop you. Tax liens in the great state of Georgia require 12 months and 45 days. I said, Your Honor.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest is based in the greater Atlanta area and has a wide range of experience in real estate. Today we're going to be talking about tax lien certificates, storage facilities, and some other real estate deals. Please welcome Dr. David M. Anderson. Dr. Anderson, welcome to the show.
Hey man, thank you. Thanks for reaching out. I'm honored to be here.
It's great to have you on. We were talking beforehand a little bit about everything that you've been involved in. You've also got experience as a broadcaster, which I think is really interesting, especially as a host here on this show. But I want to back up to the beginning of your story. How did you get into real estate?
Accident. I was, like you said, I was a broadcaster. I was on BET's Rap City, The Basement as a DJ. And I found myself in a weird position in court. I was before the court. I was dealing with an issue as it related to child support and all this crazy stuff. And I had an offset that I had to pay that day. The court wanted me to pay $15,500. I had to remand it to the court that day. And then you couldn't borrow it. You couldn't do any of this other type of stuff. So I offered to do a payment plan with $5,000. The judge was amenable to it. However, the other side wouldn't accept. So I went outside. It was on a Tuesday. I went outside. I made a few calls to a few friends and family. It didn't work out. But while I was on the call with my dad, I observed a sale actually happening. Because remind you, it was a Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month. And
there
so I had $5,000 on me that I was going to put to the court and attempt to work a plan out. They reneged or didn't allow. I put my hat in the ring. The bid had previously fired off. It settled at about $1,100, $1,500. I put my hat in the ring, and unbeknownst to me, it was a judicial tax foreclosure.
Yeah.
So, and we'll talk about that later on.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
So anyway, long and short, I bid on 123 Green Street. I wound up being the high bidder at $1,750. The marshal or the sheriff at the time requested that I go down to TG 500 and submit my ID. Well, submit my ID first and then go down to TG 500 for paperwork. And I gave her my ID. And after that happened, shortly thereafter, a gentleman came sweating with a backpack. He looked like he could have been an attorney. And I just kind of was like, hey, counsel, you're late. And he was like, did the house on Green Street sell? I was like, yeah, it did. And he was like, man, I have to buy it back from you right now. I'm going to lose my job if I don't. And I was
Oh
like,
my
yo,
goodness.
how much did they authorize you to pay for the property? He was like, it was $65,000. I was like, sold. Come downstairs to TG 500. We'll do the paperwork. He was like, I have to come with you right now. I can't leave you. I have to get this house back. No problem. We go downstairs. We get to TG 500. They're like, do you have the money? I gave her the money. This guy's standing right next to me. They said, how do you want it titled? I said, counsel, how do you want it titled? 123 Green Street LLC. No problem. 123 Green Street LLC. They give you the title work. I gave her the money. I'm like, hey, I need that bag. I need that book bag right now. This guy gives me the book bag. I give him the title work. And so I go to court the next day, right? And normally when you're in court, it's court's procedural, right? Everything is it's procedural. So it's, we're here for this case number, blah, 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 blah. None of that. All of that was out the door. Mr. Anderson, do you have the $15,500 to remand to the court? No pleasantries, none of that. I wanted to explain my position because I was like, I don't think this guy's going to believe this. So I'm like, Your Honor, here's the 15.5. No, I said, Your Honor, I need to explain to you what happened so you'll understand like where this money came from. He was like, Mr. Anderson, do you have the 15.5 to remand to the court? And I was like, you have got to let me tell you what happened yesterday. You're not going to believe this. So this dude was about to send me to jail. He was like, I don't have the time for this. Bailiff, take the defendant into custody. The bag, and I turn it upside down, and I just let the money fall out. And, order. They're like, hey, it's drug money. The other side is just coming up with stuff. I'm like, listen, this is what I was trying to explain to you in the beginning. He says, I'm listening. You have my attention. I said, yesterday was the first Tuesday of the month. It was the tax sale. He's like, let me stop you. Tax liens in the great state of Georgia require 12 months and 45 days. I said, Your Honor, you were correct. Have that tax lien been a non-judicial tax foreclosure? This is the key point of this lesson. What I purchased yesterday was an judicial foreclosure that actually, if you read the case number, and it's, they got it on their little keyboard or whatever. If you read the case number, you'll see that you ruled on the final order. You actually signed off on that final order for this actual tax lien that I bought. And he goes, wait a minute. So you're telling me that you went yesterday to the sale, purchased a judicial foreclosure and found a buyer and sold it, and these are the proceeds from that transaction? I said, yes, sir. He was like, well, you're going to have an incredible career in real estate tax liens. Case dismissed.
That's how
what
you
happened.
got in.
Yeah, that was like 20 years ago. I never missed a tax sale since.
That'd make me go to the county courthouse. As a Texas licensed realtor, we have that same type of Super Tuesday, auctions happening at every county courthouse. I tell folks, if you don't know where it is, go to the county courthouse area, look for a big red building, and it's probably right outside somewhere over there.
Texas code it mirrors Georgia code. The only difference is the great state of Texas is a 24-month right to redemption. In some instances, it's a 6-month if it's a homestead, but it's the same code. It's the same thing. And so
I want to get a little bit granular here and ask you about the vibe and also the people that go to the auctions, and then you yourself with your experience. You have the people that are being foreclosed on because they haven't paid their mortgage, right? But then you also have tax liens, and they're different, right? Is there a mindset difference? And then strategically, what's the difference when purchasing these two properties?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, that's a great question. So first and foremost, and I know you spent some time on YouTube, but one of the things that we talk about is like, I don't believe in mortgages. I don't believe in any kind of debt. I don't believe in student loans. I just don't believe in it. I don't agree to it. I don't subscribe to it. My primary residence was purchased through tax liens. My secondary residence, where I'm broadcasting from right now, was purchased through tax liens. The lake house, the everything in the portfolio, all of the commercial facilities, the hotel sites, it's all come from tax sales. So I just don't believe that we should go to the auction because they mix the auction.com people with the tax lien people and the judicial foreclosure people. They mix them all together. And there's like 30 different ways to foreclose. And what makes people think that they can buy a toxic asset from the bank? This is the bank. This is the institution that they're saying they can't handle this toxic asset. They're getting it off their books. They're literally bringing bad toxic assets to market to sell them to you, investor. And these guys think that they can make it happen. And what's crazy is you still got to come see me if you got a tax lien, right? So you can go spend $400,000-$500,000 on the mortgage to settle up the bank's toxic asset, but then you still got to deal with me because the way that it works is that the tax lien is superior to the mortgage.
Right.
So the mortgage is a subordinate. So you can go.
When I think about this situation, you're bringing on a point which is really heavily talked about, almost controversial. This idea: should you have debt, and at what point is it good debt? I imagine you're of the opinion that there's really not much of a thing as good debt.
Man, you're asking good questions. Over my career, I have an experience that's different from everyone else's. Okay, I'm African American real estate professional, so my vantage point is going to be different. I'm just now getting to a position where I can call the bank and, borrow $30 million to build a hotel with Choice or whatever. Just now getting there. As you said earlier, hey, man, you got imprints from 2007. Yeah, we've been at this for a minute. So I've got a 25-year career in real estate. And when I first started, I wasn't in that position. I couldn't go and borrow that kind of debt, okay? Now, would I have had borrowed that kind of debt 25 years ago? Hell to the no. Because I had no understanding of why, number one, I need to borrow. And then number two, what is the asset that I'm going to place those funds in to cash flow to pay the note? So that's where the good debt, bad debt scenario comes into play, okay?
Right.
However, if you are a first-time entrepreneur, if you are a minority entrepreneur, if you are an entrepreneur whose family doesn't have real wealth, you're not Barron Trump, your dad is not telling you, I'm getting ready to tank the market in 30 minutes, son, go ahead and put $30 million on the crypto market so that you can short the whole stock and go up $192 billion in 30 minutes. Like, if that's not your situation, then you don't have an egg to even work with. You got to create something. And the quickest, easiest way that we have realized to build real wealth, not elusive wealth, but real wealth, is through the tax liens. People are dying. They're always when you go to the next universe or you go to heaven or wherever you're going to go, you can't take this stuff with you. So you got to give it up. And there's a lot of individuals who don't plan. They don't have will. Well, they might have a will, but they don't have a land trust. So they get caught up in probate. They're filing bankruptcy. So all of their assets are listed on Schedule D. And we can go to pacer.gov and find out everything you own. They're going through divorces and the courts are forcing them to liquidate. There's a bunch of scenarios which are causing these kind of real estate arbitrage moments. Taxes are not being paid on the asset. So we've been able to locate these arbitrage moments and take full advantage of it.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
And so my message to other entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs who are looking to get ownership and a piece of this American dream, which is slipping away because our right to own is being challenged right now as Americans. You know, the banks want to own everything and they want you to rent. And the God that I serve commands us to own. You understand? He commands us to possess the land and to further subdue it. And I don't care what account you read, if it's the Hindu text, if it's the Torah, if it's the Muslim, the Quran, it all says the same thing. It says to possess the land and to subdue it, subjugate the land. And subjugate would mean to me to develop. It doesn't mean to rent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. The Jews, they believe in their Jewish benevolent law. They got 79 books in the Talmud which specifically deal with finance and instructions on how to handle these things. So if you're a younger entrepreneur, if you're an American entrepreneur and you don't have, you know, this wealth footing where you could go to your dad and be like, yo, dad, I need 100 racks to go to tax sale so I could try my hand at wealth generation. If you don't have that, you got to do something different. And, you know, Kiyosaki and Trump and all this stuff, when they first came out 20 years ago, they were telling everybody to go build wealth using a mortgage. And it didn't work for me. You know, I was being, I won't say victimized because I don't want to use that word, but I felt the effects of what you would call economic injustice, where I would put in applications for financing and it just would not go through. So, you know, you have a choice, right? You could go march and be like, oh, this is atrocity and call Al Sharpton, or you could stay at it and figure out other ways to build the assets that you need. Then you could go get the lending. And that was the approach that I took. I'm a play this tax lien game until I have enough assets where I'm considered an SEC accredited investor and I can pass the litmus test at Marriott, Hilton, or Choice. And now I can borrow some real money and do some real deals. But it took me a long time to get here.
I want to ask you about that. I do want to ask you about the hotels, but I do want to, before I jump into that, I do want to ask you about the strategy for tax liens. And this is a little bit fish out of water for me, but I think a lot of our viewers, audience members, and then also folks who may be on the outside looking in thinking, how do I get into real estate investing? Maybe if you could give us some granular advice without giving away all of the secret sauce on how to approach, you know, tax liens and auctions in that regard. Is there a sweet spot? Is it like, you know, 20 grand, 50 grand? Is it dependent on the area that you're in? How do you approach tax liens?
Yeah, so that's a great question. You're asking real good questions, Dylan. I'm proud of you. Yeah, so tax liens is like if you're one of these people that have to have everything planned out, you know how sometimes you have these linear thinkers, A-type personalities that are just like, I have to be able to get this particular house. You know, then tax lien is not for you. If you're somebody who is okay with result, you know, because all of the results to me are going to be positive. If your net worth, somebody wrote an article and did a Pew research that said that the average net worth of a certain class of Americans is a negative $9,500. If you believe that, right, then tax liens is not going to work for you. But the reality is, you know, there's been times, I mean, I'm on record, and you could go to YouTube and check this out. I'm on record buying houses for $1 and then turning around and selling them for 100 grand. You know, does that happen all the time? Hell no. But it's kind of like baseball, right? The goal is not to get to the plate and hit a grand. In order to hit a grand slam, you got to have 3 men on base. So you're not going to go to the plate and hit a grand slam every time. But if you can get people on base, if you can hit a single, right? And hitting a single is just making an acquisition. If you can do that consistently for a 10-year period, Robert F. Smith, who is a mentor of mine, he's a very important person as it relates to finance. He's the head of Vista Equity Partners in New York City. He practices arbitrage. Line explaining the importance of practicing arbitrage for a 10-year period. The arbitrage, if you're not clear, is the practice of finding an asset really cheap and bringing it to a market and selling it for a premium. It's the practice of wealth building. It's how wealth is generated. And so if you subscribe to that ideology, then you have to find an arbitrage. In my opinion, respectfully, tax liens is a serious arbitrage. So, you have to exploit that for a long period of time. So you're going to have to get access to capital. And that's another conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's another podcast conversation because everybody's not, these people are running around saying, oh, you got to get credit. You got to use your credit to, get financing. I've never used credit. Never. So, it just didn't work for me. I filled out SBA 7A loans. At the time, I had a 750 credit score. Still didn't get the loan. I filled out SBA 504 loans. Still didn't get the loan. Did it have to do with the zip code that I resided in at the time? I don't know. But they deemed it high risk. So I just didn't even want to play the game anymore and decided to learn how to become a certified loan broker. I flew out to LA, took a class from the loan consultants, and learned about alternative financing.
Yeah.
Non-depository banks, self-directed IRAs, all of the alternative stuff. And that's how I've been able to do what I've been able to do thus far, because to me, the credit system, not to make this a political discussion, it's just not set up for me to win. It's just not. It's economic injustice. And so rather than get upset about it, finding out alternative ways to raise capital, using self-directed IRA to go into the retirement space. The IRS says that your retirement can be used for two things. One is business and the other one is real estate investment. That's IRC code.
Yeah.
And CalPERS, these are the people who measure wealth of nations. CalPERS says that the United States has over 400 or $500 billion in retirement dollars, of which 96% of that is managed by Fidelity, Vanguard, Edward Jones, and all these other people. So that would mean that 4 to 5% of that liquidity market here in our own country is an opportunity for self-direction. And that's big enough for me to set my sights on when we have to raise capital to do deals. So that's been how we move, how we have gotten our thing done.
You mentioned having great credit, not being able to get the loan. And I think there's so many people. I'm obviously different background, grew up in a different area of the country, but I've experienced this. I'm like, well, how is it possible that I've got some job history, great credit, and I can't get a home? It kind of made me lose faith in home ownership for a long period of time. And it wasn't until years later when I did a Google search, how to generate wealth, I don't remember exactly, but it was something along those lines. And real estate kept coming up that I was almost like, hey, if I can't beat them, join them. And now I look back at it and I'm thinking like, what's the purpose of having great credit at that young age if I couldn't get a home? But I do want to pivot and ask you about getting into the hotel space specifically and what the journey was like to get there. And then also what the deals are like that you're looking at today, and any advice for folks who may be putting their goals and saying, hey, I would like to get maybe into commercial and maybe the hotel space.
Just to comment on your last point, not to change the direction, I'm going to answer that question as it relates to hotels. But there's something called redlining, and it's real, and banks carve out where they want to invest dollars at because in their mind, that's what's risky and what's not risky. So maybe you were in a zip code that might have been high risk. I mean, even though if your credit was good, maybe you were in a zip code that was considered high risk, which is why the loan didn't go through. And that's kind of how I have to look at it. You know what I mean? And not to be angry about it, right? I got to say, okay, next time I submit that application, I need to be in this zip code, and actually own something because I probably own something anyway in that zip code. And, but you just have to get creative and you have to be able to defend that creativity when you submit. But I don't even want to play that game anymore. And so I figured out a whole nother way to raise capital where I don't have to I'm not doing all that credit stuff. I'm not swabbing my mouth. I'm not sending a linkage kit to SBA. I'm not doing that because my deals are so fire that, and I'm paying 20%, between 10 and 20% depending on capital. So because my deal is so fire and I always hypothecate my deals on the value of the asset, and I always get a guarantee on how we're going to fill the place up. I'm just dealing with guaranteed income. So it's like a no-win, it's a no-brainer. But anyway, to your point, how to get into the lodging sector, the hotel game. First of all, if you're interested in the lodging sector, you need to know about the Hunter Conference. Hunter is probably one of the best conferences for hotel ownership in the lodging sector that there could be. Another conference that I've participated in over the last maybe 10 or so years has been NABHOOD. Obviously, I'm African American, so I'm a part of the National Association of, it's called NABHOOD, the National Association of African American Hotel Owner Operators and Developers. Okay, if you're Hispanic or Asian American, they have something called AHOA. AHOA stands for the Asian American Hotel Owners Association. All right. And then, of course, you have Hunter. And then you have the Lodging Conference. Crazy. It's in Vegas. Lodging Conference brings them out. And so here we're closing, but I want to drop this bomb on y'all. In order for me to put my deal together with Choice, there were some key things that were needed. Number one, I had to have site control. Okay. So I wound up from the tax sale purchasing a property directly across the street from the Augusta National here in Georgia. The Augusta Nationals with Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson and all these other guys play. We're right across the street from the National. 2.5 acres. I purchased through my self-directed IRA, my Roth IRA, for $100,000. Okay, this was during the pandemic in 2020. That value of that property right now is worth $2.5 million. There's some key things that I did that I'm gonna share with you right now. Number one, I had site control. Number two, I got a survey, very important. Number three, I paid for something called an MAI certified appraisal. MAI certified appraisal. Got that done on my birthday this year. Do you know what the property came in after it was the after repair value of the property?
I could look at it two ways. I'm not sure. Fish out
$55
of water.
million. I can't make it up. All right. $55 million. Continuing, number four, the feasibility study cost me a lot of money, but I had to pay for it because at this level of the game, they want to know what the feasibility study says. When you're raising, $20-30 million. And then the fifth thing that is important is called the STR report. In the lodging sector, the STAR report tells you everything that's happening in the market, what they're making, blah, 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 whoop-de-whoop. Okay. So you got the deed, you got the survey, you got the appraisal, you got the feasibility study, you have the STAR report, and the sixth thing that would be important is the zoning and any entitlements that come with that, any easements, entitlements, zoning. You got them 6 things, then you could get out here and you could raise some real paper. And that's really where we are. It took me a minute, it took me 2-3 years to get all those things together on my own, no partners. But once I got those things together, then I was able to get on we're on a road show right now, raising the capital to build. So, and we have an MOU from the National that says when you guys are done, they're interested in putting in an offer at market value, whatever market value would be at that time. So now we're talking. When you asked the question earlier about when does debt come into play, I'm not going on the hook for no $30 million unless I know I got a buyer that's ready to pay. These people want to do dynamic pricing every April. So, see, like what I learned about the Masters is that unlike the NFL moves around every year, right? The Super Bowl might be in Atlanta in 2028, right? Then it's over here in wherever, Kansas City. They move around. The National don't move around. The National, every year in Augusta, in the first or second week of April, it's going to be some golf being played. And these people fly in on their own planes, right? They're not coming in on Delta. They coming in on PJs. Some are on Gulfstream, some are in Pilatus, some are in King Air's King Air's Beechcraft, whatever. They might fly themselves on helicopters, whatever. They're coming in. And they come in and they converge for these 2 weeks. And the whole market is dynamic pricing. Choice has a brand called the Econo Lodge, and I was late booking my own staff. I had to put my staff in the Econo Lodge, and the Econo Lodge cost me $8,000 to house my staff for the week. An Econo Lodge. I've never stayed in an Econo Lodge in my life. No knock at Choice Hotels, but I had to put my staff somewhere. $8,000 for a week. So that's what dynamic
pricing.
Yeah, dynamic price is crazy, man. But I say all this to say the hotel thing, you have to grow into that. That's not something that I would just jump into. There's a personal financial statement. You need to be able to fill it out in a way that shows that you're ready to be able to handle that. I lucked up with the commercial storage portfolio, being able to show cash flow there. I lucked up with the affordable housing portfolio that we built, being able to show guaranteed income coming in from veterans and coming in from nonviolent felons who are being re-entered into the community that we provide housing for. Foster children who are aging out of the foster care program, that's guaranteed income from 18 to 25. We've identified like 5 or 6 different guaranteed incomes. So it's not we're not building anything off of Airbnb or off of my homeboy staying here or putting up family members. This is guaranteed income from HUD or the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Okay,
Yeah,
that's real.
that'll
So
that'll do it.
yeah, that's how it's done.
We are coming up on time here. And, you mentioned so many things that we didn't get a chance to talk about today. You mentioned housing for veterans. You mentioned storage facilities, different asset classes that people are definitely very much bullish on. And I think there's lots of people on this show who've come in and expressed interest in storage facilities and in affordable housing. Great things that we didn't get a chance to talk about today. Where can folks go
We'll
if
have
they're
another conversation.
We'll have to have one. Where can folks go if they're interested in reaching out to you, or maybe they have a deal that they'd like your feedback on?
Yeah, no problem. So my email directly is DMASR. I think it's in the screen on the lower right-hand corner. DMASR LLC. It's at gmail.com. You can shoot an email. We can set up a Zoom. My office is here, downtown Atlanta. Or you can just go to YouTube, man. I've been sending people to YouTube. YouTube is just an incredible place for learning right now. And we just finished the finishing touches on the podcast studios. You're actually the first first podcast that we've done in this new facility. So we're getting ready to turn the microphones back on, talk some smack. But just go to YouTube, type in Dr. David M. Anderson Sr. And we're here to help, man. I think God has blessed us with these amazing adventures in real estate. And I'm just one of these people that believe in sharing, man. We got to share. We got to figure this thing out. I think, not to make this political, but when there's only one wallet that jumps online and shorts the entire market to take advantage and create unusual wealth, uber wealth, that's not real entrepreneurship. That's not impressive to me. You know what I'm saying? Because you got information from your dad that allowed you to do that. Some people think that that's genius. Some people think that that's cold, but I don't think that that's any of those things. I think that that's kind of selfish because all of those people who didn't have that information, they got wiped out. So in the real estate game, in the real estate, that's why we call it real estate because it's a real asset. Ain't nobody creating it. It's not fiat. In the real estate game, for all of y'all that's watching Dylan's program, stay focused. Stay true to what real wealth building is about. This is what this country is about, building wealth, creating generational wealth that can be transferred intergenerationally for the next 100 years. That is the assignment, all of the class assignment for everybody watching this program. So my nettlesome task for you guys that are watching, my nettlesome task for Dylan is to help and assist in any way that I can fortify those individuals that are watching. Because if you're not solvent, if you're not financially in a position to put gas in your boat and go to whatever country you need to go to, if this thing collapses, then we all have problems. It doesn't matter what's going on. So my goal right now is to get this information that we've been exposed to, that we've created, that we've understood, that we've taken advantage of. I'm trying to get that out of my head. And I appreciate you, Dylan, for allowing me an opportunity to speak to a different audience. And I'm thankful for the opportunity. But we got work to do, America, and it don't matter where you're from. We got work to do. Everybody needs to be an SEC accredited investor by the end of this year. So we got deals to do.
Dr. Anderson, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.